don't be afraid of complexity. Often complexity is used as an excuse to resist beginning to do something. We have to differentiate between complicated and complex. Complexity, just go for it, because things will become simpler as you start. So that's the advice. Don't be put off, just do it.
I would say try and leapfrog on the existing systems that have helped responsible sourcing in Europe per se, and look forwards to how technology can help you with responsible sourcing. I think we're seeing, and Australia is a pioneer in this, local food networks and other kinds of systems that use technology in order to help with sourcing. And I think if I was designing a system from scratch now, that's where I'd look first.
So if you just think about your business, think about its operations and products, and think about where are the big environmental and social material hotspots. Those are the things that need to be covered in responsible sourcing. So that will obviously be the social hotspots, and that will be the environmental ones. And by environmental, we're looking at chemicals, we're looking at water use, we're looking at greenhouse gases, we're also looking at animal welfare.
Go and ask your people, they'll know their gut reaction, where their big problems are and where there aren't problems, and then chase up your big problems first.
Think about where the risk is, what could really damage your business. So start on the own brand, for example. Think about the impact that has on the business. Break that down into who are your key suppliers, who represents the largest amount of your business. Start with those. Start thinking about collaborating with others that have done it, and follow their lead. There's always an opportunity, there's always a way.
So my advice would be, particularly if you're just starting out, don't try and do everything at once. Really try and prioritise, and I would do that with a really good risk assessment to start with. So understand where your greatest risks are, and then you can prioritise your action in dealing with those risks, and then potentially move on from there. So really prioritise with a good risk assessment.
Start by understanding where the big risks are and looking at those areas first, because you're never going to be able to do everything. Secondly, think about those detailed conversations you want to have. So with those vital few, really get into some important information about what is going to happen to the people, to the planet and to the environment. And then thirdly, I would say make sure that what you're talking about is actually going to have some impact, and you're not collecting data for the sake of collecting data.
Have a rough idea what you're sourcing and from which regions. Once you've identified that, you can then sort of use external metrics or advice and identify the hotspots, okay, from a human rights perspective or from a responsible sourcing perspective. And then once you've identified those hotspots in terms of geography, those hotspots in terms of commodities or raw material, that's when you do the sort of targeted due diligence. There's no requirement to do all. I think the Modern Slavery Act and the UN Guiding Principles make clear it's you can do a risk-based approach here. There's no expectation to do everything.
At the starting point, the advice I would offer to anybody is know who you are buying from. And that may sound quite trite, but you'd be surprised how many people don't actually know that answer to that question. And possibly to pick that a little bit further would be to say, okay, so if you've got your manufacturers on the one side and then you've got your traders, your agents, importers, whatever the term may be used in Australia, think about those guys a little bit more from a perspective of, yes, I'm trading with you, but you're not making my product. So where are you making my product? Ask that question. Once you've got that, it will only be to, if you like, the next level down, the finished good level. At least that gives you a chance to, what I would call, map your supply chain. Once you've mapped it, then you can worry about the next stage.
Well, I think one of the first things that we did was look at where maybe our risk could be and in parts of our supply chains where there may be issues of concern. And we went in and we had a look at a sample of sites and we took what we found back to the board, to the BBC Worldwide Board, and said, look, this is the situation in our supply chains. Can we get an endorsement for a program to start addressing it? And we did. That gave us the green light to really move ahead. And I do think it's really key to have that executive level buy-in, because that gives you the mandate to work with your supplier teams and your buying teams to say, look, this is coming from the top, let's all move forward.